I just wanted to make some comments. You know, last week or this week, it feels like this week is 2 weeks long, but we passed a bill about live here, work here, learn here, live here, helping young people, encouraging them to stay in Connecticut and helping them buy a home. But I have to tell you, you know, I just feel like Connecticut is just not going to be a place where any young people are going to want to buy a home because they're simply not going to have a job to be able to pay for that home. We all know, we've heard what a lot of people say, you know, Connecticut's last place for business. Businesses are running out of Connecticut. Nobody wants to be in Connecticut. And I guess it almost becomes like a cliche. People just don't really think about it. But we do watch the news, and we do see that businesses are leaving. And with them, they take jobs. So when we talk about businesses, I think people kind of think of this building, you know, a building, it's a business. It's not a person. It's not a family that runs it. And it's not the people who work there and who really like working there. But they look at it like some detached thing. And I don't look at it like that. Obviously, I've mentioned before in this chamber that I am a small business owner. My husband and I running a small heating and air conditioning business. And I have to tell you, my husband is probably the hardest working person that I know in my entire life. He just works so hard, and you know, he doesn't get sick days. And I was thinking about this bill when I read through it this week. In February, my husband's right arm blew up, and I rushed him to emergency. It was a Friday night after he got home from work, and we were there all weekend, in and out, and they finally found out that he had a blood clot under his collarbone, and it was caused from physical labor, just from physical labor. So the doctor, you know, after we got out, the doctor said, you know, you have to take it easy for a couple of weeks. So, you know, we both look at each other and we say, a couple of weeks, you know, okay. So luckily, and maybe not so luckily, we had a slow month in February, so he was able to rest, and he's on medicine. But after a couple of weeks, you know, even though his arm wasn't completely better, he had to go back to work. You know, we have to pay our mortgage, and we are a small business, and we don't have anybody to give us a sick day. So he went back to work, and I was really worried about him, calling him from here. You know, how's your arm? Are you okay? You know, don't do too much. Try to be careful. Use your other arm. My point being is I grew up in a family, I come from a family of small business owners, people who work for themselves. My father grew up in a family of 15 children, and all of them worked for themselves, worked for the family business or went off on their own and did their own thing. And it's not that I'm heartless. And, you know, I kind of think that when you talk to the average everyday person or your friends and you say, oh, we're debating this bill called sick pay, and they go, well, what does that mean? And you say, well, you know, offering sick pay to part-time workers, and they say, well, that's okay to give somebody sick pay. But then they don't really understand the complications and how that hurts a small business, and especially for part-time workers. But then when you say to people, well, what they mean is they want to give sick pay to waitresses and bartenders, busboys, dishwashers. And they go, well, nobody in that service industry gets that. And then they want to know a little bit more about it. When I was a young person, before I got married, and even when I was first married, I waitressed and bartended because I wanted to be home with my son when he was a small child, and I didn't want to put him in a daycare. So I made a choice to work in that service industry because it allowed me to have the opportunity for my husband to watch our child at night, and so that I could be with him during the day. I knew full well, working in that kind of industry, that there was no benefits. They didn't offer benefits. They did offer cash tips, which was very attractive, and I liked that. But, you know, when you got sick, if you did get sick, you know, you call up another bartender and say, can you cover my shift? I'll cover you next week. And, you know, it works out. Or you have if your child gets sick, you call your mother or your mother-in-law, and they watch your child. That's that kind of business. It's flexible. You don't have to work all the time. And it's a fairly good job for that kind of business. I just don't really understand, even if we want to try to be fair to people, why we would do this in an economic time like this. I mean, we're all looking at the papers, and you don't have to be a Republican or a Democrat. You know what's going on here in Connecticut. You see it. I mean, my 26-year-old son doesn't live in Connecticut. He lives in Florida because there's not really that many jobs in Connecticut. It's just a better place to be for young people. There's jobs, no income tax, there's less tax on a lot of things, no car tax. I was looking at the statistics, and 84% of people who worked in these service businesses never really thought that they needed sick time or wanted sick time. 69% of Connecticut employers already offered paid sick leave, 69%. So basically we're going to put a mandate on small businesses of 50 or more, and then in a year or two we're going to bring it down to 25, and then maybe even add in the YMCAs and some other companies. And then there's not going to be really anyone left in Connecticut. I really hope that people think long and hard, because I have, not just being a small business owner, but I have a philosophy, a deep belief and a deep philosophy that you are entitled, you are in charge of your own destiny. You need to take care of yourself. My husband and I worked hard to build a business. We didn't ask anyone to help us. We never asked anyone to give us anything. We did it ourselves. We built it ourselves, and we're proud of it. We're proud of it. And we're proud of the people who work for us that help us build our company. We don't want anything from anyone. We want to take care of ourselves. And to me, that is what the American dream is. It's what all of us strive to be, independent and self-reliant. I don't feel like we can legislate every single thing. Every single thing it feels like this legislature wants to have its finger on. As a small business owner, when you're doing your taxes or you're going through the new regulations, I mean, you have to have a bottle of Tylenol on the table, because like you were saying, even if you were a lawyer, I don't think you could figure out half the new stuff that's imposed on a business every single year by the federal and state government and local government. It's endless. I mean, you can barely run your business. Then you have to go through all this stuff and figure out, what do I have to do now? Well, what's this? What does it even mean? I really hope that we could try to pass some bills that actually would promote business, that would encourage business, because once again, a business is not a building. It's not a steel structure. It is people who run that business and work really hard and offer people an opportunity to work really hard too. That's what a business is. A business is not the bad guy. A business is me. It's people in your neighborhood, your family, your friends. So I really hope that we could at least take some time to consider what the impact of this is going to have on those people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.